Hi everybody, it's Maria Schonder with Harmony Nutrition, and I'm so happy that you're watching this. It means that you are part of the Harmony family. You have either completed the Clean 3 or the Cleanse, and it's perfect because that's exactly what this little booster shot video is for. It is to help you get back on track. If you've kind of veered a little bit, then this is exactly what I think you'll need. I have reached out to many of you to really figure out what is it that you need? How can I best serve you? And 3 things came shining through. Those are sugar, cravings, and tips on how to actually make it happen in a busy world. So that's what we're going to cover today. I also want to keep the door open with you so I can continue to learn and grow and make my programs better than ever. Now, if you did the cleanse, I've been doing it for 5 years. If you did it 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, it has evolved tremendously. And I think it's better, and the feedback that I'm getting is really, really positive. There's an online component now for online learning, education modules, but also a way for you to keep in contact with me to help answer any questions, to get some kitchen tips, and to also encourage a little self-exploration so you can kind of get to the root of some of the reasons why you eat, or maybe you have cravings, and we'll talk about that today. So I love getting in the kitchen. It's a big part of what I do now. Some of you may know, some of you might not, that I have a degree. I'm a certified natural and therapeutic chef. So I think food is magic, and I definitely sprinkle lots of little food tips, and you'll get some today. So let's get started. The first thing is sugar, and what I'm hearing is the need for reminders why it's not so great. It's easy to say, oh, don't eat sugar, but we need to know the why. So I'll give you some reminders on that right now. So we know it's no secret that sugar leads to obesity, and sugar leads to diabetes. How sugar leads to diabetes is that increased levels of blood sugar deregulate the insulin response. So insulin is a hormone. Hormones are part of our endocrine system. So sugar wreaks havoc with our insulin. Insulin can no longer do its job, and we have too much blood sugar, and that can lead to all kinds of problems. Sugar also wreaks havoc with another major component of our endocrine system, and those are our adrenal glands. So the adrenal functions to help regulate our stress response. So sugar directly disrupts that too, leading to fatigue, tiredness, even anxiety, and just an all-over kind of malaise. So we certainly don't need that, right? We have enough going on in our life. We want as much energy as possible. Sugar's also been directly linked to cancer, and here are a couple ways. So we know that the body wants to be a little alkaline. We've talked about this in the program, and sugar creates an acidic environment. So all disease is kind of thought to come from an acidic environment, but certainly cancer loves an acidic environment. So the less sugar we eat, the better our chances are of staying cancer-free. Sugars also directly feed some types of cancer. So the sugar works directly to exacerbate the growth of cancer cells. So, none of us want to even go there, but it's important for us to think about these things when we're making the choice. Now, easier said than done, right? And that brings us to our next point, cravings. So we can know in our heart and our rational brain that we shouldn't eat this food, but yet sometimes something just kicks in and it overrides our good judgment. Those are cravings, right? You can tell the difference between cravings and hunger by, is an apple going to satisfy you? If you say, no, I'm not really craving an apple, that's probably a craving. Or, I'm just snacky. And, somebody offers you some carrot sticks with hummus, that's not really going to do it. It's probably a craving. So sometimes we think we have cravings when it's really hunger. So look at the foods that you're eating and see, if you had a green salad with a little bit of lemon juice and a couple shreds of carrots for lunch, darn right you're going to be hungry by 3 o'clock. You need food. So making sure that your food is fiberful, has some protein, will help you combat cravings. So what happens if you get a craving? What can you do? Well, oftentimes, we just need to ride that wave a little bit because we are kind of in the need of a little dopamine hit. When we're stressed out or tired, we want to feel better, and we want to feel better quickly. And one of the ways that we can do that is by eating a highly refined food. So when I talk about sugar, I'm talking about all highly refined foods because it works on your blood sugar the same way. So I might crave pasta or bread, and a friend might crave a cookie or a candy. So keeping a food journal to notice your trends. When are you having cravings? Could there be a direct relation between a stressful event or a time of the day? And start to be your own private investigator to see that. Because as we continue to use food to bring us to a place of pleasure, our response becomes lessened. And what I mean by that is the dopamine that is released becomes more common and it has less of a feel-good effect. So we need to continue to eat more. So sometimes we can get ourselves in patterns where we use food to feel better, and then we need more and more and more to feel even the same that we did when we first started eating. So looking at patterns by creating a food journal and getting to know yourself. So if a craving is happening though, I've got a great tip for you. If you're in the middle of it and you just are like, I just need it, have a little piece of avocado, just like a quarter of an avocado. The natural fats and the natural carbohydrates, fiber, will help kind of relax your brain a little bit so you can then start thinking clearly and make a more healthful choice. Another way, if you really have kind of like a sweet tooth, how you can start to lessen that is to include bitter foods in your diet. So like arugula, mustard greens, collard greens, dandelion greens, the real bitter greens are going to help you lessen your sweet tooth. Here's a way that you can do it. If you're not crazy about the bitter greens, saute up some onions, let them get nice and caramelized. That'll bring out their natural sweetness. And then add maybe 1 part dandelion greens to 3 parts spinach. Or you could do, arugula to Swiss chard. So pick 1 bitter green, use it in a small amount with some caramelized onions, add some milder greens, and then as your palate starts to get more used to that, you can increase the amount of bitter greens and lessen the amount of mild greens. And that will help reduce your sweet tooth. So I hope that works for you. I hope you try it. And if you need a recipe, email me. Let me know. I would love to share. Another great resource is an herb. It's called Jemima. That if you have real powerful sugar cravings, investigate clean sources of that herb, and that might be a good tool for you too. So how can you make it happen in the real world? There's no getting around it. You have to plan ahead. And that's it. There are ways to make it efficient though, and that's one of the things that I love, love, love to do. If you haven't checked out my website in a while, go to harmonynutrition.com, take a look. You'll find in the kitchen programs with me. I can come and I can show you how to do, be efficient in the kitchen and create plans for you. But I'm going to give you some tips right now. So you have to plan ahead. Dinner can't be a surprise to you every night at 6:30. You know it's coming, so just strategize and plan ahead. Just like planning a trip. You have to know where you're going, how you're going to get there. Same thing with dinner, breakfast, lunch. And spending a little bit of time on your weekend or your day off to create a refrigerator full of options. So you want to allow yourself the pleasure of opening up your refrigerator and being able to put dinner on the table in 10 minutes. It's absolutely possible. So some ideas are, roasted chicken, create a big pot of beans, and some rice or some quinoa, maybe chopping up a bunch of vegetables, and then lots of green leafy vegetables. Take your time, wash them well, dry them well, wrap them up in a clean kitchen towel or even a cotton pillowcase, and then put that in a plastic bag. Put that on your top shelf in your refrigerator so it's an easy go-to. Maybe you roast up some veggies too, maybe some sweet potatoes or some carrots, or if it's summertime, maybe some zucchini, so you can mix and match. And I have included a worksheet for you, so you get a little present from me. It is a meal strategy worksheet, and it's divided into columns. There's a column for the day of the week, there's a column for recipes, there's a column for your schedule, and there's a column for your ingredients. So you'll fill this out. You'll fill out your day of the week, the recipe that you want to make, and it could be as simple as, rice, beans, chicken, cabbage salad for like a Mexican night. The schedule. So here is where planning ahead really helps you. If you have cooked fish, if you have some quinoa, if you have some roasted asparagus, you can allow yourself the pleasure of saying, asparagus pilaf. And all you need to do is chop up the roasted asparagus, cook it up with a little bit of brown rice, and you have your dish in, 3 minutes? Maybe reheat chicken or something like that. So your schedule isn't starting from scratch, it's using the components that you've prepared for yourself. And then the ingredients are for each recipe, and then you take that list with you take that to the grocery store with you, and you have your shopping list. Now if you've taken the time to fill this out, print out your recipes that you're using, staple it all together, and save it. You don't have to always reinvent the wheel. You can go back to this in 3 weeks. You can photocopy it, make little changes, and then you have a whole new plan for the next week. So there are some things that you can do to make it easy. And I'm lucky, this absolutely comes naturally to me. It's what I love to do. And it works for my clients, it works for me, and I hope it works for you. For me, I get myself in trouble with lunch sometimes because I'm either going to work or I'm meeting clients and running errands, and time just flies by. It escapes me, and I look down and it's 1:30 and I'm starving, and I have options, right? I can go out to eat at a restaurant, or I can eat at home. Well, if I go to a restaurant, by the time I sit down, order my food, get the food delivered to me, that's some time. But if I go home, if I have food already prepared for lunch, it can be just as quick as a restaurant. And it's a lot healthier and a lot cheaper. So, actually not cheap, I don't like to use that word with food. It's a lot more valuable. So, what I do is when I'm cooking my dinner, I'm in the kitchen for 10 minutes anyway, I take out my container that I use for lunch, and I put some of those pre-washed greens right in the container. And then I take whatever I'm making for dinner and put a little portion of that either on top of the greens or next to the greens, and say I'm shredding carrots for a stir fry that I'm making that night. Well, maybe I just shred extra and keep them raw and put them on top of my lunch that way. So I'm always thinking ahead. What little sneaky thing can I do for my next day to make it so much easier? You're in the kitchen, the cutting board's dirty, the knife is dirty, you've got the soapy water already, filled in the sink. So it just saves time in the long run to double duty when you can. Let's see. What other tips do you need? Let me know. Send me an email and give me feedback on programs that you'd like to see, challenges that you have, or any cooking ideas that you want a little feedback on. Would love to hear it. harmonynutrition.com. I'll make sure there's a link in this email. And I hope that this gives you a little more boost to get back on track. I do have a Clean 3 coming up. Would love to see you there. Okay, talk to you later.